In this video, teens talk about relationships with parents. They talk about some issues that can cause tension between teenagers and parents: homework, sibling fights, boundaries and trust. Some teenagers feel their parents need to show more trust and give them more independence, but they also know that parents are mostly just concerned for their safety. These teenagers offer tips for parents on supporting teenagers.
I have a very close relationship with my parents. I value both of them. I love them both a lot. They're always concerned for my safety, which is what I really value and appreciate. And even though sometimes we don't like having boundaries in that, they are really important to ensure, it's nice to know that they have that level of concern. Where are you going? Who are you going with? How are you going to get home? And they can be very understanding. So especially with teenage girls, things change like 10 times over. So they're very understanding. If at the last minute I ring them up and I'm like, oh, you have to come pick like 5 people up and drop them all home, and they're good about that. And they really involve themselves in my social life, and they get along with people really well.
My mum, I have to say she's very caring, and she, whenever I feel bad at any time, and if I tell her that, of course, she'll, or if she notices, she'll always try to help me in a certain way. So if I was like doing bad at a maths test, even though she might not know the most at maths, at least she'd try and help me overcome the trauma of the entire feeling.
My dad, I find that he more helps me on in the schoolwork side of things, mostly. And my mum's mainly just kind, and she helps me most often when she helps me feel a bit better when she's around too.
The thing I like about my parents is they listen to me a lot, and well, they play games with me, they interact with me.
They help me with things that are important. They guide me, they mentor me.
I like that my parents care for me, and I know that even when we are sort of arguing, it's because they think it's best for what is best for me. And I like how they try and get involved, even though it can be annoying at times, getting sort of involved. But I like how they will want to listen to what I say and support me.
The support, thank you so much, Mum and Dad. Kind of giving your opinions, letting me form my own.
Especially if I have a test or if I've had a bad day or something, sometimes Dad will leave me a little note in the morning when I get up and I read it, and it's just really nice to know that they listened and that they actually understood what you were telling them.
When me and my brother fight, if it's just a little something, I just wish that my parents would sometimes butt out, because then that can escalate it sometimes to something bigger when it doesn't have to be. We could just resolve it by ourselves and then everything would be fine.
The times I like my parents getting involved or butting in is mostly when me and Samson, my brother, are having arguments about the chores. This is an example, but maybe if I'm doing the vacuuming and he's doing the bathroom, I might want to do the bathroom, he might want to do the vacuuming. So my mum would say, you're doing the vacuuming and you're doing the bathroom, and she'll just make it easy for both our lives, and it'll be easy for her to butt in then.
The times when I want them to get involved are probably when it's more of a problem to do with myself, and not a problem to do with a large group of people related to me or something. So, for example, in a social problem, I probably wouldn't be asking for their help or something, but in for example, more homework-related issue.
I would like my parents to butt in occasionally with homework. I don't want to exploit them because they've got a life too, and they work heaps. Kind of also giving you a bit of a routine and making sure that you're not being lazy.
I guess that I'd like my parents to sort of butt into my life when I'm sort of having troubles with my friends. If I come to them, I would like them to, but yeah, it's just nice to sort of have the reassurance of someone older than you and who have probably gone through something similar to sort of help you with advice and stuff.
Year 10, there's been a lot of shifts in friendship groups, and And it didn't essentially involve me, it was other girls that, would leave groups and move and that was fine, but then in the end, basically, you barely had a group, and it was a really tough week, and I was coming home, I was, just emotional day, a bit upset. But I told them everything, and they were really supportive, and they said, what can we do? What do you want to do? Even to this day, Mum still asks me, oh, how are you going? Like, who did you sit with? How are you going today? Did anything happen? And it's just nice to know that even though, it happened a while ago, they still think about it and they still have that in the back.
I think to all parents out there, you should communicate every single day with them, unless it's just a normal conversation. When you're concerned about them, like if you see them maybe going to their room a bit more frequently, you see them having a bit more problems at school, maybe their grades going down a little bit, show a bit of empathy for them.
Advice I would give to parents for supporting their teenagers in that is, number one, take an interest in their life. Like, really be focused on your child no matter what. No matter, if you've got work commitments on that, you always need to know.
Get really, really involved in their life, but not make it seem that you're getting involved so it won't look embarrassing for them.
I would tell the parents who are watching this video to sort of put yourself in your kid's shoes and try and remember back to when you were a teenager.
Show your children that you trust them, even if they are going out or they're doing something. Don't give them that lecture every time about, stranger danger, and that's okay, say it once, say it well, but you don't have to keep repeating it. Because I know my parents especially, every time I go out, they give me a full lecture, and then in the car they give my friends a lecture about being safe in that, and it's especially by this age, we know what's right and wrong, we want you to be able to trust us.
If a parent wants to deal with a teenager, then they just need to know when to be there and when to just leave it to them. Because, of course, if you just leave it to them too much, then of course they'll be left to their own devices, stranded, and they'll need help. But if you continually butt in, then they'll have no freedom.
It's best to talk to them in a casual manner over a bike ride, or maybe over playing a game with them, and maybe it's maybe like you could play a board game with them one-on-one, like a game of chess, and then just seeing things are going nicely, and then you can just maybe announce something to them, or they can ask you a question, and they'll probably be more inclined to answer.
Parents need to learn to read their children. It all starts from being focused. They need to spend time with them. They need to kind of talk to them and develop that relationship so the child feels comfortable talking to them about that stuff. Especially if they say, oh no, I don't want to talk about it. Don't take that at face value. You need to keep pushing. Because even sometimes when I say, oh no, I don't want to talk about it, just leave me alone, they will still, they'll both come in and they'll sit on my bed and they'll say, no, we're not going until you talk to us about it. You need to just tell us what's the matter. And I'll talk to them about it and I feel a lot better. And sometimes it's like a little game, the child, they want them, even though they say no, they really want them to come and be persistent. And sometimes if they don't, it can be like, oh, I don't know if they care really and stuff like that.
If my body language is a little bit, I guess, if I'm going it sounds like that and things, that's probably signs that I'm struggling with stuff. And so those are probably things that if they can pick those kind of visual and oral cues up, then that could probably help.
Just by having your parents there, even if it's just support or just a hug. But sometimes Mum does come out with some really good lines of just sort of inspirational stuff that she's picked up from her mum and her parents and her grandparents and passes it on to me, which I find really helpful.